name is Dr. Colin Ross. I'm a psychiatrist. I was born in Canada, grew up in Canada, went to medical school at the University of Alberta, then did my psychiatry training at the University of Manitoba, worked as an academic psychiatrist for 6 years, and then in 1991 moved to Texas, where I've been since. I consult to trauma programs at hospitals in Texas, Michigan, and California. I'm a past president of the International Society for the Study of Trauma and Dissociation. I've received grants from a number of different grant agencies in the US and Canada. Probably reviewed for more than 30 different psychiatric journals, which means the papers are submitted to the journal, the editor sends it to me for an opinion. I tell the editor what revisions I think are necessary. I'm the author of 28 books, about 200 papers in professional journals, and I've spoken widely throughout North America, in Europe, China, Australia, New Zealand, and Malaysia. So I have around about 500 speaking engagements in my resume all over the world, and that includes being the keynote speaker at many different conferences on a number of different continents. The topics that I usually speak about are basically psychological trauma, mostly extensive severe childhood trauma and all its consequences, which include dissociation, which is kind of disconnecting from yourself. And the main textbook I wrote about that came out in 1989. It's called Multiple Personality Disorder. And then a second edition came out in 1997 because the official name was changed to Dissociative Identity Disorder, which is exactly the same thing with a different name. And so I've written a whole series of books about multiple personality and related conditions. But I also have a general trauma model that accounts for many different mental health problems, including post-traumatic stress, depression, obsessive compulsive disorder, substance abuse, and so on. And I've got a very well organized, detailed scientific model of the relationship between trauma and mental disorders, and that's the trauma model book. And then there's a therapy method that comes out of that I call trauma model therapy. And I go all around the world teaching psychiatrists, psychologists, counselors, therapists how to do therapy for trauma survivors. So I write, I do research, I collect data, and I also train. The therapy that I practice and that I teach to many different psychiatrists, psychologists, counselors, and so on is called trauma model therapy, and it's supported by research data and so on. But it's got several main elements to it, two of which I want to mention today. One is it's very heavy on cognitive therapy, which means looking at your thinking, your beliefs, how are they distorted, how are they causing depression, anxiety, and how if you change your beliefs about yourself and the world, things will get better and your symptoms will drop down. So that's cognitive therapy. And there's also a blend of a non-directive or more experiential style of therapy, where I am constantly reflecting back to the person the feelings that they're expressing to me. I'm validating them, I'm normalizing them, and it's really a blend of these two major components. And those are two major components that are useful in any setting, anywhere in the world, especially for parenting and raising children. In the course of my career as a psychiatrist, I've worked in a number of different hospitals and within a number of different hospital corporations, as well as an academic setting. And I'm personally a small businessman. I've had as many as 10 employees at a time and own several different companies. So I think I have a better sense of the business world, corporate structure, corporate dynamics, probably than the average psychiatrist. And I firmly believe that the skills in the CommunicateForever program can be of great value and practical use within companies. And I think that companies could easily adopt this program, implement it, and do pre and post measures of any number of performance variables and probably have a good outcome. I've also seen firsthand many times that when you have a negative, harsh, autocratic, controlling kind of corporate environment, that performance goes down, morale goes down, turnover goes down, work delays, endless kinds of problems crop up. You also have people out on sick leave, people on disability. You've got more training costs. It's just an endless negative feedback loop. And if you could have a program, which CommunicateForever I think could provide, that changes this kind of corporate environment and makes it more harmonious, more team-based, more productive, more negotiation-based, then all of the company bottom line would improve. Examples of specific benefits that could accrue would include better leadership. Nobody in the business world thinks that it's a good idea to have worse leadership. So if the leaders are more inspiring, more able to negotiate, more able to compromise, more able to make deals, more able to motivate, it's all to the good. And the skills required to do that are trained in these exercises, these 48 skills. You'll have reduced conflict at work because people are knowing how to express themselves, validate each other, modulate their emotions. There'll be better teamwork, so deadlines will be met more efficiently, product will improve. Better collaboration is built into this better teamwork. Increased productivity, so the bottom line will improve. As I mentioned before, there'll be less turnover. If you have better performance, you potentially have more sales per employee. All of these things lead to lower health costs, lower lost work time, and it's nothing but benefit to everybody. Fewer sick leaves, reduced absence, and back to the bottom line again, higher profits for the company. Because your workforce is more friendly, more pleasant to be around, more helpful, more motivated, your customers are going to be more satisfied. So they'll be more loyal. So you'll have more loyal customers, more happy employees. It just sets up a positive feedback loop instead of this negative feedback loop that I've seen in operation in corporate cultures. And that will then make it easier to recruit, find, and retain new employees who themselves will be better employees. So I think that there's a lot of room for very tangible, measurable benefit from employing this kind of set of exercises and these skills, and teaching them, training them, and monitoring them in the workplace.